Let me see.
Okay, now we're live. All right, what's
Hello.
up, everyone? Actually, we're probably gonna share this on. Oh no. Okay,
Let's share.
I know what we're gonna do.
I know.
I just thought about it. What's up, everyone? I'm here with Meghan LeVota. I'm sure that many of you actually know her. I talk about her a lot on my channel. We're cool. You know, we're friends on Twitter and everything. We've actually known each other for a while now.
Yeah. How long or when did you first upload a video? Or like what was like your first video?
Oh.
I guess I can look that up myself, but I feel like I uploaded a few videos in 2015, but not really. But I feel like you were one of the first people I started to see like talking about ENFJs, because one of the main things that motivated me is I felt like I didn't see very many ENFJ videos.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like, I can't remember how we connected, but
it was the same thing
for a while.
From what I remember, it was the exact same thing. Like you were like one of the only people that I saw. I saw so many INFJ videos.
Oh my God, yeah.
Honestly, you could even tell from like my older videos that I was annoyed because
yeah,
I mean, they're still glamorized, but you know, like it doesn't bother me much anymore. But back then, it really, really bothered me. Like, I feel like there was an instance where I was at school and this one ENFP girl, like she saw that I was looking up Myers-Briggs stuff, and she's like, "Oh, where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm an ENFJ." She's like, oh, "Okay, that's cool. I heard that one of our coworkers is an INFJ," and I was like, okay, you know, like she acted as if it was like some type of rare Pokemon or something.
Yeah.
You know,
and what always I never understood is how like INFJs have like auxiliary FE and we have auxiliary NI, but for some reason everyone talks about INFJ's wonderful people skills, but nobody talks about ENFJ's wonderful intuition. Like, hello, like I mean, it's like INFJs have their pros and cons, and like so do we, and like I don't know, like I feel like we were very similarly motivated of being like, you know, no one's talking about this, you know?
Yeah. And I think that that's what I was gathering from your videos
yeah.
too. Like I wanted to be a voice out there for the ENFJs and help them be able like to help other people be able to see like, hey, you know, INFJs are amazing, but so is every other type. And oh, look, I'm an ENFJ. Hopefully, you know, for me being my authentic self, then you could see like one representation. I don't represent all of them, but one representation of how ENFJ can come out. And oh, they aren't just like somebody commented recently on one of my videos saying like, huh, I thought y'all were just some feeler goofballs. And I'm like, really? like, I don't get that, but I mean, okay, you know. But yeah, from your videos, I was seeing like, I remember from back then, like you were pretty much like the only one that I saw actually posting like ENFJ videos. And even Jamila was like, do you have her number? Like right before I sent you the link to the live stream we're doing right now. And I was like, oh yeah, I do. But I think we forgot that we have each other's number because it was like that long ago.
yeah, I think I definitely still have it though. But gosh, what was I gonna say? I also think too, like, we both, at least for me, like I was very much diving into my NI and growing my NI around that point. And I think that I saw an opportunity, and maybe you did as well, of like wanting to help ENFJs not feel like we have to always be doing things for other people. And I think that's why self-growth is so important to me, because I've just lived so much of my life doing things for other people that like now I'm trying to help people, especially ENFJs. Like that's, I mean, that's, I want to be able to help everyone understand themselves, but I have even more of a vested interest in explaining the ENFJ, because I know like how hard it can be to detach from everyone's expectations of you and stuff, you know?
Yeah, so we definitely want to unpack that. But just in case if nobody knows who Meghan is, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. And I know that you've done this like over 1,000 times probably, but
oh, not even that much. I've been, you know, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that, but
well, after you introduce yourself, could you also explain like how you got into MBTI and like how you found out that you're an ENFJ, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Then while you do that, I'm gonna share this on Twitter because we didn't really promote it.
Yeah, I will retweet you and share somewhere. I don't know. So yeah, or as I guess, hello, I'm Meghan LeVota, if we have not already met. I'm an ENFJ, and I made my first YouTube video in 2015 just for fun because I've been interested in personality stuff since like 2012, and it's always been a hobby of mine. And even from back then, when I posted my first video, like I wasn't seeing that many ENFJs, and I was just trying to connect with other ENFJs. And what am I saying? So I've been sort of doing that as a hobby, and for self-expression since then. I really started posting more in 2017, but I have a journalism degree. I'm really interested in digital media. I work in social media right now, and I am a master's in organizational psychology student. And I hope to sort of combine like my interest in Carl Jung and Jungian personality with what I'm also learning in psychology now to do sort of like consulting and coaching work eventually. Well, I mean, I'm sort of dabbling in that stuff now, but I'm very much theorizing how, I mean, at this point, I've been interested in this stuff so long that it's sort of like, I don't think this is a phase. It's not a phase, Mom. You know, like it's like I feel like must be a reason why I'm so obsessed with this stuff, and that I keep having realizations and theories about the stuff that I do want to continue to create discussions, because personally, I think that people misunderstand each other so much. And like, for example, like what I've been learning about in my psychology classes, there's like we had this whole chapter on conflict, and it was talking about how, you know, there's two types of conflict. There's the motivational one, where it's like people are maybe even too lazy or have wrong intentions. And then there's also the one where it's like the system just isn't working properly, and like things aren't moving together. And I think so much of conflict literally doesn't even need to exist. It's just because we aren't interpreting each other correctly, or we have different, like, it's just, I see these things in people all the time, that I, like with my best friend who's an ENFP, using this system of like cognitive functions and personality type, I've been able to mend conflicts from understanding that not everyone thinks the way that I do. And I just, the power that I've seen in that has been so impactful in my own life, in the ways that I've been able to shift the way that I communicate, so that I'm more understood, and so that I'm more understanding the other person. It's just been so powerful that I am very passionate about helping each other create, or helping people understand themselves better so that they can communicate better, and then have more meaningful relationships where they understand the other person better, and like hopefully eliminate like a lot of unnecessary bullshit, and help people just have everyone just work together more smoothly, you know?
I'm totally with all of that. I'm not even, that's the exact motivation that I have behind why I got into it and everything. I want to help everyone to be able to better understand themselves, and to then better understand everybody else, so that, just like you said, like, so that we can get through all of the bad mojo and all of that's going on in the BS, pretty much.
Yeah. And I don't ever think it's anyone's fault. I never think it's anyone's fault, you know? Like, it just is there. It's just like messy, you know? And we all are messy. We are all messy, you know? Like, I remember, I don't even know where I was going with what I was saying earlier about the psychology thing, but I think the term I wanted to share was a term I heard was called pseudo conflict, which is when there isn't a conflict, it's just a misunderstanding or a misperception. And that's the thing that I get very passionate about, because when it happens, I'm like, this doesn't even need to be happening right now. Why? You know?
No, I totally relate with that. I cannot stand unnecessary conflict. That's how I feel. Like, and I guess that's easy. Like, okay, so I guess this is a good time to like bring up that So in our last video, which that link can be found in the description, we did that on Megan's page. But that was our first ENFJ interaction video together. And it was great. And in that video, I actually believed that I was a social 2. And then now it's been like months later, and I've been really growing and getting to understand Enneagram. Those of you who follow me on my channel now, you know that I'm actually a social 9. So I'm a 9 wing 1 SOSX. And that has like been blowing my mind since I've been diving into it, even deeper than how I felt about the 2. Like, you know, when I thought that I was a 2, honestly speaking, I thought like, oh, well, you know, I've kind of like transcended this. Like I'm reading all of this stuff, like, and it didn't really like relate. I mean, like I related, but I thought like, oh, well, all of the work that I've done on MBTI, it's like now this thing, it's getting my motives a little bit wrong, but I mean, I guess it's because I'm an ENFJ or because I'm, you know, I've done like personal development work. But now I know that I'm a 9, and when I went to go look at those core fears and things that they struggle with, I was like, oh shoot. And especially
did it make you want to like break down?
It definitely.
Oh my God.
To this day, like I'm still consuming content on the 9, and I'm an emotional person in the sense that like I'm very empathetic, but I'm not like someone who cries often. Like I actually would say that I rarely cry, but when I start reading about this stuff, then it starts making me actually like things just start welling up in me like, oh my gosh. And then I guess it's the irony, because it's the stuff that I've been narcotizing as a 9 so much, to the point where I've like tried to numb myself from these feelings that are trying to now come out. Now I'm paying attention to them. It's like, oh shoot, now that I'm paying attention to them, that's why I'm about to start crying or whatever. I don't want to cry. Like, what the heck, what was going on? The reason why I bring that up is because we were just talking about, you know, unnecessary conflict. And I think not that 9s are the only types that do this clearly, but I think that that's a huge marker for me as a 9. I'm always thinking as an ENFJ 9 at that. And then I'm a social, so then that also like adds another twist to it. But
so how do you respond to unnecessary conflict? How would you describe that? I mean, I think I know, but I want to hear how you'd say it.
Yes. So for me, okay, so I'd say that first of all, I view unnecessary conflict as, if I can solve this, if I can bring harmony with this little collateral damage, and I think that we talked about this in our video too, so back when I still thought that I was a 9 or whatever, but like if I can look at the situation, then I'm thinking, okay, what are the best ways to avoid as many snags as possible? Oh, if we say this, or if we do it in this way, that might cause tension over here. If we do it this way, that might, so I'm like running all of these simulations like, okay, I think this is the most clear path. The most clear is in like, yeah, you might still run into some things over here and over there, and you might have to like go a little bit further, and you might have to do a little bit more extra work. But at the end of the day, there's going to be so much less collateral, as opposed to if you just took this route. Now you kind of like, you still have a lot of like other conflicting matters in this sense. And so for me, it's like I'm not necessarily afraid to attack the conflict, especially being a social 9 and then also being an ENFJ. So I think that kind of gives me an advantage, because being an FE dominant, it's like I see all of the lines between people. So I see the connection between me and you. I see the connection between me and Angela. I see the connection between Angela and Marianne, you know, whoever. But then if I see like a red line, then my attention immediately goes to that. It's like, oh, all of these other lines are white. That one is red. How can I make that white again? White being the symbol of like, you know, purity or like health. And and it's like, okay, what are the best ways to be able to meddle with that without actually causing some type of damage or, you know, anything to like go wrong? Because the moment that I jump in and things go wrong, then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, like what happened? So I have to,
you know what 2s want to do is save the day.
Yeah.
2s are not.
Go ahead and
especially as I've been trying to find actually shout out to Kat if you're watching this. I'm not looking at the live stream. I've been trying to find actually so I can have up here Kat and Cosmo's description of the two. Two, and I'm trying to find like the quote of it, but I know Kat has mentioned too that it's like twos want to be, especially sexual twos, somebody's like special friend, like they're everything. That's where the pride comes in. Like it's not always pretty, you know. It's not always pretty. It's like when I see the unnecessary conflicts, I want to solve it. I think as a sexual versus social, it could be very tribal. It could be this is what I'm fighting for. And it's not about social peace. It's about it's like at the end of the day, I want my best friends to be proud of me. You know,
got you.
I want to have strong connections with my people. Like, and if I can do something that is going to be a voice for my people, then, and that helps them and inspires them. I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about with like, when we were first discovering that we were ENFJs, like, I know how hard it's been for me to try and let go of what people think about me. And I still make so many decisions based on what people think about me. And I don't want to be that way. And if I can be that person to help, even if I'm just inspiring one person to be themselves, like that's what I want to do, you know? And I mean, like twos sort of want to be like, and that's the negative that, I mean, I'm kind of disgusted by it, honestly, like Mother Teresa, like whatever, like, you know, like, I mean, I want to, I don't know, like let me try and find this quote that I'm like looking for right now. But, I mean, and see, that's where I guess I can only really speak from my experience because, I don't want to like say anything inaccurate about the Enneagram. And say, I don't want to attribute something to a two. And I believe that you've said something like this before about like being an ENFJ, about how like you want to just speak from your experience. You don't want to like accidentally be like, oh, all ENFJs are like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I'm being very careful of right now because I don't want to be like that. But I do know that like twos want to save the day. And like something that I saw this in a YouTube video. I can't even remember who because I apologize. One of the more popular Enneagram channels. And it was talking about how like twos, especially sexual twos, it's like I know how it's like an image type. And so it's like I craft this image that is likable to the audience that I am fighting or that I want.
Got you.
And to the point where I can never live up to that. Like, and I always am overcommitting myself. I'm always doing things and then like not feeling respected or not feeling like appreciated. And then it's like, well, no one asked you to do it. You know, that thing where it's like, after everything I've done for you, this is what you do. And it's like, I never asked you to do that. Stop being so damn pushy. Like that's the thing of like, I want to swoop in and save the day. You know, I want to like, and twos could be like kind of in your, well, and I think, I don't really know how it would be different for like a social two, but like for me, like, with like my girlfriend or like with my best friend, it's like I want to sort of do something for them that they weren't expecting, so that then like twos can like get power from being the thing that you want. Like, and I mean, I think on like a social media sort of thing, what I'm trying to do is attract the people that I want by being, I feel like it's almost like integrating to four, almost like in a like trying to be more individualistic so that I can find the people that are gonna really love me. Because what I've found in my life is that if I am like always doing things for other people, then I'm not gonna feel like me. And so I found that it's actually safer, and like, so we disintegrate and we integrate to help us with the core like desire to be loved or whatever. And so the 8 is like, if the 8 is like, back off. The 8 is like, you don't get to talk to me that way. I don't feel loved right now and I'm vulnerable and you aren't appreciating me and I want you out of my space. Like, get out, because it makes me vulnerable to not be liked. And then the 4 is, I use the 4 to be like, well, maybe if I be very specific and almost obnoxious about my interests, then maybe I'll find the people that actually will love me.
Interesting.
Okay. So it's like, maybe if I like talk about astrology all day long, I'll find those people that are then gonna like love me, you know? Like, because I want to be like, so I want to be loved like so badly that like I'm almost like the 4, I almost feel like it's almost trying to weed people out, because like, really, like, if I don't know, like I just want people to leave me alone if they don't like me. Like, I can't not be liked. I just don't know how. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I know that's like so dumb, but like,
no,
I just.
Well, maybe I'm biased because I don't like to not be liked.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I don't understand. Like, it makes me feel like really weak, you know? And okay, like, here's like the core fears: being unlovable, unwanted, being needy, being dispensable, being unacknowledged. Core needs: love, approval, to be an important or special friend, to be useful or worthy, validation. Okay, now tell me if you relate to this. So the other day, I was actually talking to Emily Pukoki. Shout out if you're watching this.
Shout out. Yes,
and I was sort of emotionally dumping. And I emotionally dumped, and then I immediately was like, oh my God, I don't really know her that well. What were you thinking? Like, what were you thinking? Like, how dare you like take up her time? Like that was just an example. And I explained that to her, I think, too. But like, for example, like, I so do not want to be a burden to people, and I cannot ask for help. Like, I'm so bad at asking for help that like, if I am vulnerable like that, then it's almost like I'm losing power, because then I need them. Like, 2s can't I mean, it's like, I need you to need me. I can't have you needing, I can't have me needing you. Like, I need to be the helper. I can't be the receiver. So yeah.
Wow. That's.
And I mean, I have dated people where I intentionally felt like they were not as good as me, because then they won't leave me.
Wow.
And that's the like 2 manipulation, like, that's like bad, you know, like, you know, I don't know. So you're saying, wow, tell me if you disagree, or tell me if you do something different, I guess.
Okay, well, no, that's actually really helpful to understand, because I have a lot of 2s in my life, and I think that in a way I kind of like them because of that reason. Like, you're saying like, oh, that's like manipulation or something, but in actuality, because I value consistency and loyalty so heavily, then it's like, oh, well, if this person needs me to need them because in some way they need me, then cool. I guess that means that we're both kind of like bonded to each other. And then I personally have a problem with that, because that's almost like a guarantee that, well, then that means that you want this as badly as I do. So we're actually going to stick together, because not necessarily that we're like codependent, but like,
that's the thing. I've been so like codependent. Like once I do have that person, like, especially like with my girlfriend, for example, like I am so like, I don't even know where I'm going with that. I forget what I was going to say actually. I was going to say that every Enneagram type has like a total, like everyone has like an ego and like something that's sort of not like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, bad, or like maybe like a more negative associations. Like for me, I get my ego boost when I am helping someone, especially when it's like a surprise, and especially if it's someone I really care about, but like sort of doing something before them that they didn't even ask for, or like giving them the advice that they needed, or like or saying like, oh my goodness, like you've changed my life, or oh my goodness, you said that one thing that now I can't stop thinking about. Like I do the things to create those situations in my life, but as a sexual dom, like with the people that I want to merge with.
Right. That was actually going to be my question for you. So we were talking about like, you're looking for your tribe, and you're trying to as sexual dominant, and which, by the way, like I've told you, like I've been reading like about all of the Enneagram types and the specific subtypes as well. So I was going to actually read a second.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but after this question though, because I'm curious, what would you say are like, who are your people? Because you're speaking about,
that's a good question.
Like you defend, and I see it in my head almost as like, as long as these people are okay, as long as I'm protecting them, and this isn't as mean, I guess, as it might sound, but it's like, as long as these people are okay, I don't really give an F about the people out here.
It's not even like that I don't give an F. It's that I'm trying to be intentional.
Got you.
So, for example, I mean, I don't know what you mean by these people, but for example,
I'm asking you.
Well, okay. Well, I guess by these people, I mean, it's not like social is about like the everyone, and sexual is about like the intimate relationships. And I guess the fact is you can't be BFF or intimate with everyone.
Right.
And like I'm sexual social, so I still value the social as well. But what I'm really trying to find are, and I mean, even right now, like I don't have that many acquaintances. Like I talk to the people that are like my like fucking like brother, sister, like that's what I want, like that's what I'm searching for. Like it's interesting. Like in high school, I was okay. So I think my sister might be a social dom, either social or self-preservation. I know that she's not a sexual dom, but anyway, like
ESFJ, right?
Yeah, ESFJ. She's a 9-wing 1, or no, she's a 1-wing 9.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but anyway, I remember being at this like event, like with like theater, and I was just like sort of sitting at a table with my friends, and she told me, she's like, "You're being so cliquey." She was like, "You aren't talking to anyone but your friends." And I was like, "Well, they don't want to talk to me either. Why would I?" And I'm not mean. I mean, like, it's not like I don't want to be snubbing people, but what I want to do is talk about the things that I want to talk about, and anyone is invited. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I get that.
Anyone's invited.
Yeah. But, I think that also like maybe goes back to like, because I know that we've often talked about like small talk and how you feel about it, and it's
you
like,
seem to enjoy it more than me.
What'd you say?
You seem to enjoy it a bit more than I do.
Well, yes, technically enjoy it more. Sure. I see it as like a challenge in a way. Like, okay, let's see how long you as in the other person can actually keep small talk with me, because I'm going to take this somewhere else. Like, you'll start talking about the weather, and next thing you know, we're talking about the symbolic reasons behind spring, summer, winter, all of that. So
yeah, and I get that, but what if the person doesn't want to talk about the symbolic reason? You know what I mean?
And then
like, is it a challenge for you, or is it a challenge for them?
For me, it's like in doing that, if we start talking about it, it's almost kind of like what you do then, because in talking about it, either they're going to now take an interest in it, like, oh, I like where this is going, and then they're going to continue, and then now we don't have to suffer in the small talk. Or, like you said, like, what if they don't? They're eventually going to be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And then they're going to be the one that, like, leaves me alone. It's like, all right, great. So I don't have to suffer with your small talk, and you don't have to suffer with my symbolism talk, you know? So everybody,
Yes.
and I didn't have to necessarily be mean. I drove you away on your own. Or, but what more so, I entertained your small talk up until I got you to my layer. And then it's like you can either stay here with me or you can go somewhere else. Nobody's forcing you to stay, though. But I'm just letting you know that, like, I'm not going to stay there, like the small talk with you, for that long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like an example, and like for some reason I keep thinking of school, because it's like one of the last times that like you really do have like this group of peers around. How do I describe this? Okay, actually, this is a good example. I was in a sorority for a year, and the way that I was is perhaps more introverted than one would think. I didn't really feel like I fit in there, but I definitely tried to. Like, I definitely tried to. But I tried to create one-on-one friends. Like, I would try and look around and see who, like, either based on their interests or whatever, who I think I would be friends with. And then I would, like, almost try and, like, seduce or, like, try and, like, make them be my friend. Like, I like group talks, and I like that stuff, but for me, entering a room, it's not like I'm gonna just enter the room like, hello, I'm here, whatever. Like, it takes me a minute to like get adjusted. Like, I could be very reserved. Like, I don't just like go in there. Like, I like was very awkward and uncomfortable like when I was like in the sorority, because I did feel like a fish out of water in a lot of ways, based on from what I can perceive as people's interests. And like, for example, like, let's say like someone's talking about clothes. Like, I would like try and talk about clothes, and then I would be like, oh my goodness, isn't it ridiculous how they have these one size fits all clothes at PacSun? That is just not cool. Or like, I'll like go on like a rant, and then they'll be like, yeah. And it was like a lot of like it's not that deep. Sort of like, I felt like a lot of people, either they said that or they were giving me like it's not that deep sort of look. Okay. But like, I would try. Like, I mean, like, I would try and like find, okay, what is it that you're interested in and I'm interested in? But every time I would make an interesting comment or whatever that I thought was interesting, if they weren't interested, then I would be like, okay. You know, it's like I'm looking for like such intimacy that it's not like I'm trying to snub people, but if they are uninterested in just one thing I said, if they are that uninterested in me just being me, then why would I try and force that connection? Like, I never want to force it, you know?
I think, and I definitely agree with that. So like for me, when I enter like a new group and everything, believe it or not, you know, for those watching, whatever, I'm actually like not the life of the party or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm more like watching everybody, and because my thing is I want to catch the social atmosphere, I guess.
Yes.
Like, okay, like who's who, what, like who's doing what, you know, stuff like that. I want to be able to understand the tone and the language, everything that's being said, because I already feel like I'm an outsider in a way. You can't just into like some type of like outsider space and then all of a sudden, you know, start, you know, talking a lot, and like, and nobody even really knows who you are. You haven't really established your ground. You don't really even have a seat at the table yet. So for me, it's like, even if I may have a seat at the table, then I'm still watching everyone, and I'm studying all of the dynamics and how they all work. And then after seeing enough of that pattern, then I'm able to have a good idea of like, okay, this would probably be a good addition here. And it'll just be like a small comment, and I'll just throw it in there. And these small comments, it sounds really weird, but these small comments end up like breaking, like they start like building rapport with different people there. So even though I'm not trying to be like best friends with everyone.
Whoa. Wait, let me just ask you a question as you continue. So would you say, and maybe this is a social 9 thing, are you trying to merge with the group?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not. I'm trying to find my BFFs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like, if I'm in, and this is like a metaphor, but like, I'm like, okay, who looks cool? Oh, I'm going to go over next to the snack table because anyone who's cool hangs out with the snack table, and then I'm going to be friends with them. Like, but it's like based on like my interests or like me, like, I don't know. But like, I'm like looking for a buffer. Like, I'm not looking for how can I make this a group, or how can I fit into the group? Because I guess the way I see it is I either fit into the group or I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the world is so big and there's so many different people, and it's impossible to get along with everyone,
Right. I think,
and I would rather be at I'd rather just have like a good opinion of from afar someone than try and merge when the merging doesn't work.
Yeah. I think for me in my head, because it definitely makes sense, you being SX, SO, and then me being SOSX, the way that I've described it in the past is kind of like, I'm not Jesus, of course, but Jesus had his 12 disciples. So I would see the 12 disciples as my group. But then after I've established like, okay, I'm a part of this group, that's when now Jesus had his 3 or 4 disciples that he was closest with, Peter, stuff like that. And so after I've like, I have good rapport with everybody in the group, I don't have to be their best friends. In fact, I'm not aiming to be their best friends because I don't want to spread myself too thin. I at least want to have like the baseline level of like everyone be like, oh, Denzel's a cool person, or, like if I wanted to go talk to them, like it's smooth, like, like they at least have at least a baseline of who I am, but there's not like really intimacy, because from merging with the group, that's when I start spotting the people who I want to be intimate with.
Wait, so that would be social sexual, as in you do that and then go to the intimate after you've established that merging with the group?
Yes, that's my experience. Yeah. So with me, but then for me, it's like I'm still keeping that rapport with the group. I'm still, because then even though I'm not best friends with everybody in the group, like when I in college and everything, in all of my classes, everyone liked me. And it wasn't because I'm like trying so hard to get everybody to like me, but I guess like I just naturally knew how to interact with people, or even not really interact with people. But like there were people who I never really talked to, but when we did start talking, like if I ran into a friend who was friends with that person, it's happened several times. Like Jamila's here and she's just always like, wow. And then they'll just be like, Denzel, every time I see you, you always give me a nice smile. And you're always like, like I don't even say anything to the person, but just simple, small things like that gives them a good perception of me, even though I didn't necessarily like work like, oh, I'm going to smile at this person so they can like me. It's more just like, I want to be able to have peace with everyone. And then those who I'm actually close to, those are the people that so after I've like merged.
Well, you have that desire to have peace.
Yeah. Would you say, and genuinely wondering, would you say that there's a difference between peace and harmony? And as you answer, the same.
Well, actually, or do you want me to answer or wait for you to come back? Or
oh no, you can definitely go ahead and answer.
Can you hear me from? Okay. Anyway, I think you said you could.
I can.
I was just going to read this quote from the article that Kat and Cosmo wrote about twos. It says, although twos are helpful, it seems that people can highly underestimate how aggressive they can be. Givers are very adamant that they know the best way to help you, even better than you know yourself. They enjoy being that one special person that knows exactly what you need and can easily be upset when you will not let them in. And this is where the vice of pride comes in. And so it says givers unconsciously seek to be adored and appreciated, and they earn your love by going all out for you. So I think this is the thing that's important to realize, is that, you know, a lot of people want to attach to an Enneagram type that like sounds nice or whatever, but like the vice of pride is like that. Honestly, if you look at this, if you think about the vice of pride, like it's kind of arrogant, like to think that you know best. But it's the same as, but I mean, you can also say that it's kind of like, you can say negative things too about the 9 needing the group to like you, or to needing to fit in, or whatever you want to say. But it's like our egos are attached to these things that can be good, can be bad, but it's like, I want to be adored. Why would I waste my time on someone that's never going to adore me? You know what I mean? Like, I want to be surrounded by that warmth, and I want to give that warmth, and I don't ever want to waste my time giving that warmth and have it be stomped on. That is the way to really just completely crush my soul, is if I feel like I'm doing my best to be helpful and it's not appreciated, then that hurts me. I mean, you mentioned that you don't really cry. Like, I cry all the time. Like, I really do, you know?
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive. Like, and I don't want to put myself through, like, I think, I mean, part of that's maybe the sexual thing, but like, I mean, I wouldn't say, like, I haven't had like a lot of like enemies growing up. I mean, I do my best to like not have enemies, but I also don't like care to make everyone in the group like me. I'd rather just find a different group, because the world is so big, you know? Like, why that group?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think, well, a lot of it also definitely has to do with me being social 9, and I guess like I'll read a little bit of that description as well. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that's like so totally me. But for me, it's like, because it's so natural for me, I guess. So
yeah, and we do this stuff unconsciously. It's not like I'm like, ooh, I gotta get this person to like love me, but you can see it in my actions.
Yeah. So like for me, it's like, I guess when I'm understanding the system, it's like, oh, like people, like to me, I'm always like, well, it's not that hard. Even talking to Jamila, I thought it was just simply because she's not FE, but she's ISFP 4 SPSO, and so she still has some social there. But it's like, I often like wonder, like, yo, Jamila, like it's not that hard to just like smile at this person, or just like, you know, like at least it's not effortless. I mean, it's effortless to me, you know. But I guess when I hear other people talk about like, oh, this is so laborious, or you know, stuff like that, now I'm beginning to understand more. Like, oh, this is why. It's because like, it's not necessarily that they're like handicapped or anything, or they're like jerks, but it's more of like, maybe this is my subconscious ability that I have to be able to just naturally, like I was just saying, like with that guy, I didn't just think like, oh, let me smile at him so that we have like good rapport in this group and everything, so that one day, 2 months from now, he's gonna show up and be like, hey, Denzel, and he's gonna compliment me. But it's just more so like being gentle and warm and kind to everyone, to a point where if I do, you know, and it's like I said, it's all subconscious. If I do end up like running into them, they don't really have like anything bad like to say about me. And I guess that's what it comes.
You know,
yeah.
I'm realizing that we both really, really want to belong, but one thing about me, and I don't know what this is about me, but I have never forced myself to belong in a place that I don't feel that I belong. I've sought out the place where I belong. I've never tried to adjust who I was to match with the surrounding. I mean, even in the sorority, I quit, and then I joined improv, and then I belonged, you know, like, and so I feel like we have that like similar desire, but something that's interesting though is that, so you might look at somebody else and think that maybe they're handicapped in that thing. But I think it's important to realize, like with Enneagram and with personality, like your type,
Right.
We have different goals and different desires. Sure. And so it's interesting how, and I wonder if this is like a super subconscious thing, but like if you very subconsciously have this strong desire and goal to fit in with the group, then you probably ruminate on it a lot, and then it's just easy. It just happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna finally just read this. So this is the complete Enneagram 27 paths to greater self-knowledge. They have like small sections. I'm not gonna read the whole section of each one, but this is like the first part of the social 9. Social 9s, so that's what I am. Social 9s express the passion of psychological laziness or sloth through merging with the group, working hard in support of group interests, and prioritizing the group's needs above their own. Social 9s are congenial characters with the need to feel like they're a part of things, a need that expresses an underlying feeling of being different or not fitting in with the group or community. This person is a lighthearted, sociable, fun-loving character who expresses a driving need to be involved in the group. This feeling, so now I'm just reading like the highlighted parts. This feeling drives the social 9 to overcompensate by being generous and sacrificing whatever is necessary to meet the needs of the group as a way of earning membership. They work twice as hard.
Earning membership. That's so interesting.
Yeah, that's it's funny because I've literally had teachers tell my parents this all the time, like, oh, and I've said it in podcasts that I've featured in and everything, but I never attributed it to Enneagram. But this constant thing that they always said was like, Denzel is so smart, but he always wants to fit in with like the cool kids or whatever, something like that.
I never had that issue.
Yeah, that was a big issue for me. It's like the teachers wanted me to like, why do you want to like be with them so much? And it's like, that was my problem. So, and it literally says here, like, social 9s can be workaholics. They feel a need to work hard and give a lot, but it's not just work. They energetically demonstrate friendliness and sociability. They don't show their pain. They don't burden others, and they don't show people how much energy it takes to devote so much effort to the community. These are people who are generous and unselfish, mindful of the group, and gifted in meeting the needs of others to the point where they sacrifice themselves to satisfy the responsibility others want to put on them. And
actually, this might be a good example of something I could share. So you saying that actually makes me think my boss might be a social 9. I know that she's a 9. She's an ESFJ, and she's a 9. And I'm in this group where we're trying to decide what to do about like our Instagram thing. And I see, and then the other person in the group is like an ENFP 7-wing 8. She might be an 8-wing 7, but she says she's a 7-wing 8. But anyway, like they're discussing, and then my boss is all like, oh, well, I don't want to like add anything to your plate. Like, I don't want to, or she's very like that. And I'm like, what do you need? How much time do you, how much time is this going to take? What would be an ideal scenario for you? Okay. What if we do this, guys? And then everyone's like, Megan, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, like I see her shy away from things that I'm like, oh, no. Like you can get what you want, and you can get what you want. Here, let me help you. Like that's like how, and I actually, I don't know how accurate this literally is, but it's like when I take the Enneagram test,
right,
I'm very low on 9. And I want to ask you a little bit about how you relate to sloth. And I was confused, I guess, a bit about like the workaholic / the sloth thing. How does that, because I don't relate to that. In fact, I feel like I have a hard time with that. I mean, like I would say I'm very, I don't even know how to say this without sounding like bragging. Like, I promise I'm not, but like, I'm very not lazy. Like I should be more lazy.
Gotcha.
Like, and so that's interesting to me, but like the pride thing, that's the thing where how do I even word this? It's like, I take pride in everything that I do. And I'm very aware of how I'm coming off. I'm very aware of how I'm coming off, and I take pride in it, you know, and it's intentional. Like, and I'm not, yeah, I don't know really what I was connecting that to, but
I think you're.
yeah, I'm curious. Or sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I think that you were asking how I relate to psychological.
Yeah.
Loss. Yeah. Okay. So one of the interesting things I've read was that the social nine being kind of like the counter type to the nine is that, like it said, like, you know, they can be workaholics, and at the end of the book, they compare all of the different types to each other. So you could probably, like, you know, look at that one too, like the two versus that would be interesting. But when I was looking at, because originally I know that like a lot of people were like, oh, you know, Denzel is probably a 3, because I thought that I definitely had to be 2 or 3 on the Enneagram.
I mean, I thought you were a 3 for a while. Even in our last video, I thought you were a 3, but I didn't know. And like, I never want to feel like I know unless I know. You know what I mean?
No, I feel that.
Like, I had a sense, because it's not even just the 3, but like the 3 and the 9, like I didn't see as much like 8 or 4 like influence either, you know?
Yeah, no. Ever since the thing that made me automatically know, like, oh crap, yeah, I'm definitely 2, is because, and we talked about this, I fear 8 energy. Like I really like, even even Heidi, who, I mean, Heidi, I love her. I love Heidi, but whenever, because I have a lot of relatives who are 8s, and just whenever I like feel that energy, then it's like, you know, I just want to like shrink back into a corner. So I'm not competitive at all. I like, and even
so I actually want to say too that I don't know if I said this in the last thing, but I'm actually a 271, and Kat has helped me realize the 1 fix, because I didn't recognize it before. But the thing that helped me realize that I'm not an 8 fix is that whenever I have a problem with someone, or whenever am angry, I always ask people if that's okay. I always ask my friends, am I right to think this? Is this right? Is this, and Kat has pointed out that I focus a little bit too much on, is this right? This sort of, and I never fit the righteousness. I always saw being a 1 as perfectionistic, and I'm not a perfectionist. But then I realized that I think there's a lot of SI bias in the description. Where NJs are going to act differently, but like self-righteous, yeah, I'm a little bit more self-righteous than I am combative. You know, like if I feel something, I'm going to need to be like, I don't know if I have the right to feel this.
Got you.
And then like need to like think it through. And also like sort of the desire for accuracy and objectivity, and like I relate to that, where sometimes like 8 energy can sort of feel like so my best friend Crystal is an 8 fix. She's 4 8. And then I'm not sure, I mean, you've talked to her.
Yep.
I think she's acted like an 8 in a conversation with you.
Corner a few times too.
Well, yeah. Okay. So I think she's like 4. I don't know if would be 5, 6, or 7, honestly. But when I fight with her, and if I make her upset, it's sort of like she's like, you made me mad, whatever. Like you made me mad. Like very like, I don't care. That's how I feel. And I'm like, if I'm gonna like be angry or tell someone, I'm gonna need to like have a reason. And like for a while, I just thought that was inferior TI, you know?
Yeah.
Because I had a hard time thinking, how would that look? I mean, I don't know. It feels like similar to inferior TI. So correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But like, if I'm gonna express any sort of anger or whatever, I'm gonna need to like have a reason and like be like very like almost self-righteous about the reason. Like, so I definitely express it more that way than the I want to fight, because I don't ever want to fight ever.
Yeah.
Like, even whenever I do have a good reason or whatever, like I kind of or like I don't even know what a good reason is. I mean, I don't have a competitive bone in my body. Like, I really do not care. I really believe that, like, for example, like we both have YouTube channels. I believe that if you're successful, then I'm successful, because that means more people are going to be involved. I don't understand. Like, I just feel like the more the merrier. Like, I don't understand competition, and I don't understand. I don't know. I just don't understand it. Like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's like, and I'm pretty sure you probably mean this too. It's like, okay, like I understand it, but personally, I just don't like it. Like,
yeah,
like,
well, it does confuse me. So, like, I mean, I guess I could understand it in theory, but the reason why I kept saying understand was because I get very confused, and I sometimes like, if people are being competitive, it won't be my first thought to think, what if they're being competitive? Because I don't know. Sometimes I just assume everyone's like me, you know, you know, or like, oh, maybe they're just trying to figure something out, or I don't even know. But like, I just think everyone can win if we all work together, you know. I don't know, like, and I could be very naive.
Yeah, I always bring up how, like, when I was on the basketball team, pretty much any time that I'm on any team, um, but specifically when I was on the basketball team, I remember quitting because I was literally the only person on the team who, whenever we would lose, I was the only one who wasn't crying. Not because I'm this stoic, you know, unemotional person, but I had the mindset where it's like, dang, well, you know, at least we all had fun out there, you know, like I did want us to win, but we gave our best, you know. That was fun. I loved when, like, after the game, like, we all have to shake hands with the other person on the team, like, hey, you know, even when I have to guard somebody, then I'd introduce myself to them so they just know, like, hey, there's no like tension. We're just playing a game, you know. But everybody else on the team would get mad, like, no, Denzel, we lost, like this. And it's just like, okay, maybe I should reserve my spot on the team for somebody else who would also be as passionate and competitive. Because for me, like, if I sense that somebody's like super, super competitive and like all of that, once again, I shrink into the corner. It's like, oh, okay, I understand that we want to win. It's not that I don't want to win, but my competitiveness is almost like non-existent, as in like I'm just, you know, while other people are like, yeah, I'm gonna pulverize you. I don't know. Like,
I know, no, I don't relate to that at all. Like, I like played sports as a kid, and I absolutely hated it. But like, I never even would like even look at the score. Like, or like, yeah, I would just like want to have fun. But like, see, I didn't even have fun because I wasn't even motivated to beat the other team. Like, even like, I know it's different watching and playing, but like, even like, I'm from Kansas City, and like the Chiefs were like in the playoffs, and I like was at this like Chiefs party, and I just was so bored, like just sitting like trying to talk about something in the corner. See, this is something I do a lot that I don't know if this is like a sexual two thing or maybe just a sexual thing. Like when I would go to parties in college or even like in that scenario, like I'm always like trying to pull some new friend in the corner and like have a deep talk. Like I don't know if you relate to that or like I sometimes I don't even feel like I'm missing out on like vibing with the whole thing because I'm like trying to like pull people into a corner. And like I've heard like twos, especially sexual twos, described as being like seductive in that way.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about that as well. Like, okay, so the first paragraph here says, like, sexual two is a seducer of particular individuals. Classical seduction is the main approach of this two, who expresses a driving need to seduce other people as a way of getting their needs met. This seduction, a way of gaining allegiance or inflaming the desire of the other, occurs through cultivation of an attractive presentation and the expression of feeling. Sexual 2 is generous, flexible, somewhat wild, action-oriented. 2, who is not afraid to woo others by using sexuality as a weapon of conquest. And then she goes on to like talk more about that.
So I'm curious how they're even defining sexuality, but I think as far as sexual, what the thing that comes to my mind is intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think it's necessarily saying like, oh, I'm gonna like flaunt my body or anything like that. Like, is that what they're? I mean, I don't think it necessarily means like sexual, as in like that.
And that's what I was honestly wondering, because then that's actually the main reason why before like before I was like, well, if Megan's a 2, are we sure that she's a sexual 2? Because like I said, like I don't see that, because when I was reading about it, and I know sexual 2s who are like the pictures that they'll post, no offense to them, like
I mean, yeah, I'm not
and stuff like that. And even the way they act, it's like, okay. And then over here it says the sexual 2 displays the clearest tendencies towards seduction in the classical sense.
I mean, I definitely have been like that when I'm single. Like and I wonder if a censor, I mean, I'm not trying to like diss on censor, but like, what? It's like, I wonder if a censor would be more inclined to show off certain things more. I mean, like, I'm not, like, like, let's say, like, when I was, like, single, like, I would be doing that, like, with my ideas. Like, I would even, like, if I, like someone who I knew this was their favorite band, I would, like, talk about it, you know, or, like, I still am trying to seduce, like, very much so. I mean, even, like, with my friends, like, if I've decided that someone's going to be my friend, then, like, all of a sudden, like, we're BFF. Like, I see that Emily Pukoki is watching this, or so comment if you agree. But whenever I, like, feel like I have a new friend, I'm like, yes. Like, I've got you. It's like kind of creepy, but like I would be like that with dating too. Like, and I definitely, I mean, like, I would like, yeah, I mean, I've posted thirst traps before, you know, like, I mean, I've definitely like tried to, or like do a Snapchat selfie to try and get someone to text me, like, you know, like, yeah, very much so. Like, I don't know. But I also, the sorts of people that I want to attract, I don't think would enjoy like anything that looks shallow. Like, I don't think a shallow looking thing would be attractive.
That makes sense.
You know?
Yeah. Because that's, if anything, it's like always like me trying, because you know you can read stuff all the time, but then you have to talk to real people in order to see where these things align and everything. Yes. And so these are the types of questions that like I asked you before we got on, like, is it okay if I ask these questions, not to like, you know, explore you, like, or have you start talking about thirst traps or anything, but like, it's like, do you relate to these, like, over here? This too is somebody who is beautiful, but who possesses a dangerous kind of beauty. It's a beauty that needs to wield power over you. And
yes, oh my God, absolutely. Like, I mean, like, whenever I would be in like my casual sex phase, I'm the sort of person, oh my goodness, I'm just realizing, sorry. Whenever I first sort of like started to realize like, oh, I'm a sexual being, I like people or whatever, like, I was the biggest tease. Because I just wanted people to like me, and I wanted to have them on my little string.
Okay.
And
okay.
I was such a tease. And there was like this point where, like, sorry if this is sort of TMI, but like, I was a virgin and I was like afraid to do anything, but I kept like almost and then not, and then like ghosted people. And like, I kept like trying to make people like want me. Like, and then like, or like, and I mean, I've been the sort of person to be like, even if like wanting them to say it and not wanting to give the power away to say that I want them.
Wow. Like, I know an INFJ who's exactly like, so that makes a lot of sense. Like she's like about to be 30. and she's still a virgin and everything too. And
Yeah.
she tells me this, like she's like she posts like the thirst traps and everything a lot. But then when like guys like actually, and she likes that power that she has over them. But then when the guys like actually try to like do anything with her, she's actually like afraid of that. Like she
Yes,
to get
yes.
to it. And so, and that's why I was like, oh, well, you know, and like I said, I know like other twos who are like that. She just happens to be the one that I'm closest to. But I wasn't really, I guess, getting that vibe from you. Like, I was like, oh, well, since I know Meghan, she, and once again, it's no offense against those, the sexual twos.
Yeah.
It seems like you're like always like, you know, I never see you as like revealing dressed, you know, or like.
Okay, so whenever I was 18, okay, so I never thought I was hot in high school because I never dated anyone, and everyone I tried to date rejected me, and I cried about it all night. Oh. Like I would like journal about I want this person to like me. I would like try and manifest like one guy. I would like write their name over and over and be like, I need them to like me. Like, and then they didn't like me. And so whatever, like that was like a part of my past. Like I go to college, I'm 18, I go to my first frat party, I get attention, and I'm like, oh, I've got attention? That's strange. I've never had that before. And then I mean, my freshman year of college, I would like go to frat parties and dance with people and then try and get them to like make out with me and then run away. Like,
okay. Yeah. It's Meghan is asexual too. If anybody's ever doubted, she's just evolved, or she's kept it hidden now.
Well, I mean, that just did not give me what I wanted, and I think part of it might be being an intuitive, but also like the things that I'm trying to seduce is just not, that just doesn't do it
right
for me.
Yeah, but that makes total sense. Like when you said that people that you're trying to seduce or you're trying to bring, they wouldn't be attracted to that. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Like now that clicked in my head. Like you started with that method that's being described, but then you
and then it turned to me hanging out at random shows or random indie music shows in college, trying to get band number, trying to like smirk at the guy playing the guitar or something, like, you know, like like different, you know, like, and I mean, even like, let me think of it. Okay, so this might be somewhat TMI. Well, it's not really. I just, well, I feel like I'm the sort of person where like when I'm dating I feel like a sexual two would be the sort of person like, oh yeah, I know you want me. Like, oh yeah, I know you do. Sort of like make them say it, or like say it. Like that, and it's kind of pathetic. It's kind of pathetic because I think like if I don't know for sure that they will want me, then I'm not going to feel wanted, and then that's setting me up for rejection.
Got you.
You know.
No, that I'm like here. Everything checks out though. Like it makes total sense the way that you're describing it.
And even right now, I'm almost afraid to say this because I don't want to seem shallow, and I don't want people to misjudge me or like, which is kind of going hand in hand. And also, I was laughing out loud earlier because Nate, shout out Nate, I see you're watching this. He quoted as, oh, I am a sexual being? I didn't know that. I'm sexual blind.
Nate, what's up, man?
I can't stop laughing at that. So, like, oh, really? Didn't know that.
Yeah, and I feel like just like how you were saying with you know, like being embarrassed about everything. I feel like it's stuff that like all of us, we all have our own things. Like the Enneagram, we still like to point these things out to you. So like me, like when it's pointed out that like, oh, this social 9, like he wants to just people. Whenever you hear people talking about like, oh, you know, like this person just wants to fit in, they just want to fit in, like. That's really me, and I think that's also why oh
wow,
I really detest when people start having like snowflake complex and stuff. Like I really don't like that because it's like okay, you know, like why can't we all just be the same? You know, why can't we all just like, you know, but then
Yeah. And see, I kind of don't like that. I kind
yeah.
of don't like when people are all trying to be the same because I'm trying to help. I want everyone to be able to feel special, but like, okay, like not divisive. Because I think you and I probably agree that it really sucks when there's like unnecessary division, when it is would be better if we can just focus on what we have in common, you know? And I always want to do that, but I think if what someone believes and what someone else believes doesn't have anything in common. Like, okay, for example, like if you were to look in like politics, if someone believes that in pro-choice and that's something that they really value, and then someone is not pro-choice and believes in like a pro-life movement, both of them deserve to believe in that.
Right.
I mean, like I know what I believe, and I mean, I could even sit here and argue and say what I think is incorrect, but who am I to say that what I believe is better than what the other person believes?
Right.
And I think that what happens, and this is, I guess, my critique with, I don't know if it's social 9 or just the desire to fit in, but my critique with that is that what ends up happening is one person getting like consuming the other, whatever is the loudest, because the fact is people are different. And so, for example, if those, it's like you deserve to have that cause you're fighting for. You deserve to have that cause you're fighting for. But what ends up happening if we all try and get along is that one of those causes is going to eat up the other. And so what I would almost prefer is to find almost a compromise.
I think that's what I'm at too. Like I just always want a middle ground. You know, like so.
Yeah, or even like with countries, sometimes they just have an agreement and they just live over there, you live over here, and there's an agreement, you know?
For me, it's even so as in like, okay, we can have these different outlooks and perspectives on this, but as long as you're not going to give me some type of negative energy, then I don't really care if you still stay here. Like, especially so like I'm a Christian, and there are a lot of, I have a lot of friends who have like conflicting beliefs with Christianity and everything. And I don't try to impose my beliefs, you know. I think there's a difference between like coercing and clarifying. I clarify like, you know, my personal beliefs as a Christian, but I don't like coerce them onto like other people, you know. And then if they have like differing beliefs, then I'm just like, okay, you know, that's cool as long as you're not attacking mine. I'm not going to attack yours, and we can still have this middle ground harmony, you know.
But what happens if, okay, are you ever afraid to really go into why you believe what you believe in fear of making somebody else upset? And I mean, I think that's the thing that I'm afraid of, because I want to be able to share what I believe.
I'm not afraid of that at all.
Okay.
That's what I meant by like the clarifying, because I'm always okay with clarifying, like, this is why I believe what I believe. But I also clarify and make it clear that I'm not, in me clarifying where I stand, I'm not saying that where you stand is bad. And that's what I'm trying to like say. Like, if anything, I want to understand where you're standing.
Is it possible to truly stand for something without also thinking that the other thing is not as good? And is that wrong if you let them be? You know what I mean? Because, like, for example, isn't you saying that you are Christian and your beliefs, doesn't that mean like that you're against what is not God? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be antagonistic, but I mean, isn't it intrinsically saying, like, if you believe in one God, if someone believes in multiple gods, then you would disagree and you would say, I think that is worse. You don't want to say it to them, but I mean, it is sort of intrinsic in what you're saying. You know what I mean?
I think for me, it doesn't necessarily bother me. It's more so like because I have, so ironically, well, actually, no, not her. I have a few friends who actually, you know, like they believe in more than one God, or they believe in none. And I find it fascinating. And then I ask them, like, how does it make sense in your head? not because I'm like trying to attack them, but it's like, oh, it's interesting how we all have these different perspectives. But then me inquiring about how it makes sense, it's like I can now understand where they're coming from so well that if somebody was to speak badly about it, I could actually defend them as if I believed what that person believed myself. Because like in that person's mind, this is what's going on. And then I kind of would just request the same for them. So then even if they don't agree that there is only one God and everything, instead of them seeing it as like, oh, well, Denzel is stupid for believing in one God and that Jesus really came and died and resurrected 3 days later and everything, they can see why. Like, well, even though I don't really believe what Denzel believes, I can see how it makes sense to him, and they can explain why I believe it, and in a way that won't make me sound stupid, because I'd like to think that they're not stupid.
Okay, but here's an example, is that I completely agree with you, and I like to do that too. But let's say we're fighting for politics. Either there is a law or there's not a law. To stand for something, sometimes you have to be against things, and that sucks. But that's like, if you're for something, and I mean, I hate that too. I mean, like, I'm an ENFJ, and I don't want to be against anyone. But, and I do exactly what you do, where I'm curious. But if someone's not curious about me in the same way, then I tend to view it as an irrelevant conversation. Like, because I know where I stand, and I would like to discuss where we stand with some mutual respect. And but for example, like maybe with religion, it could be a little different, because there's not necessarily an action you have to take. But like, for some things, it's like you're either going to like sign the petition or vote for this person, or you're going to do this, you know? And like, I think that there is a great value of being a person that does announce, this is what I believe, guys, and this is why I think it's the best thing, and you can come on board if you want, and because I want this outcome, you know. And I mean, yeah, or go ahead.
Well, I think that, and you can continue to clarify, but I feel like I do that because in continuing to clarify,
I don't think you necessarily don't. I'm just,
like in continuing to like clarify like where I stand, then I'm attracting people like, as in like, this is what I believe and this is why I believe it and all of that. If anybody believes this or agrees with me, hop on board. But if you don't, then that's cool too. It's not a me versus them thing. It's more so like, this is me, that's y'all, but we can still, get along. It's just that this is what we are still standing for something. Like, this is what we believe, but that doesn't mean that we can look at them and say like, oh, what they believe, oh, those Muslims, what they believe is so stupid. Atheists, how do they not believe in God? Like,
I think that what maybe you're reacting to is when people get really when they detest or have like sort of a negative feeling toward someone.
Yeah.
And I think, I agree with you. Like, that's a little unnecessary, but I also think that like, there's nothing wrong with wanting something, like, there's nothing wrong with believing that something's important enough to really like fight for,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. And I mean, a lot of things in our daily modern life really aren't that important, but like some situations are life and death. And I guess I'm just sort of talking about the idea of that when you really stand up for yourself, it's like, the way I view it is, I'm standing up for myself. I'm not ever wanting to be against you.
Right.
But if somebody is against what I'm standing up for, which I think is important, they're allowed to do that and think whatever they would like.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I have to be in the same spaces as them. That's how I view it, at least. Maybe that's divisive, but I think there's sort of like togetherness and like maybe the social nine instinct of everyone getting along. That has a lot of value. There's also, I think, value in individuation and like this is what I stand for. This is what I stand for. This is what I stand for. Because that's what makes things interesting, I think, in life. And I think that you find those things interesting too. You know, I'm not saying that you don't, and I don't even think we're like that different in how we regard it, honestly. But like, for example, like it is very interesting to get in conversations like if you're a Christian talking to someone who is not or has a different belief, like those things are interesting, and that's like the spice of life. Right. And so I don't ever necessarily, I'm not afraid, and maybe it's like you being a social 9 gives you the fear of that because you don't want there to be conflict. Maybe.
The fear of
the divisiveness turning into like conflict or rejection. But like I feel like I don't fear the division maybe as much as you.
And because, I think that you're actually that could actually like have like a lot of truth. Like, so I guess like one quick example that I could give is so clearly like I'm a Black person, and I'm all for like I'm anti-racism for sure. You know, like I don't, but at the same time, and I said it in my heart for like I have a video of like my heart on racism and everything, and I talked about how like, you know, at first, in short, it seemed like, you know, like white people were here and then Black people were like over here. And I believe that what Martin Luther King Jr. was trying to get Black people to be at was here. Like, this is equality. But instead, like when we got over here, then, you know, Black people, from my perspective, it seems like now, like you'll see stuff like on Twitter all the time, like, you know, Black people, like Black women are this, and, you know, Black people are that, and like Black people are the superior race. And it's like, whoa, now it seems like they're over here. Then you'll have like white people like, hey, like how'd they get over there? And then they try to one up us and like that. And so I look at the Black people and I'm like, yo, not that I'm against you guys, I'm part of you, but we need to stop with all of this Black people are the superior race stuff and, you know, whatever. We can still love Black people. Yes, Black lives do matter. I'm with that for sure. But just make sure that you don't, in the same sense, like make sure that the goal is always even ground, not they matter more, which a lot of people do agree. Like, yeah, no, when we say Black lives matter, we do mean that all lives matter. Just, you know, whatever.
I've never even heard anyone like say that they think that Black people are superior, honestly. And I kept thinking of that as an example. I just didn't want to necessarily go that, well, we're there. And I mean, personally, that was an example I was thinking of, in the sense that I know a lot of racist people from the Midwest, and I'm against them, and I'm okay with saying I'm against them. And that's an example.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I was a sociology minor, and I am very fascinated with a lot of those things. And here's something that I always think about, is that I had to read this thing in college where it was talking about the GI Bill in World War II. So for background, my grandpa was a Italian immigrant, and back in like the 50s, my grandma, who was a white girl from a farm in Kansas, when she married my grandpa, an Italian, her family was not okay with it and referred to my Italian grandpa as a Black man. And they were racist against my grandpa, who now Italians, nobody would say that they're a person of color. Like, I'm white. But the GI Bill, what it did is it gave opportunities to Italians, Irish, which Irish used to also be discriminated against too. It gave opportunities to everyone but Black people. And what happened, and Jewish people too. And what it did is it elevated people. And so there's structural, there are still structural issues at play. That's like an example of one of the things that I would fight for. I would fight for equality in the structure. I would never want to put someone against each other, but sometimes changing the law means, you know, if you're for this, a lot of things that I think about is like, if the shoe fits, it fits. This is what I'm for. And if you're saying you're not for that, that's okay. I'm just against that because I'm for this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fight with you. I'm just saying that this is what I'm for.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that I put that too, is in like, because it's like, yeah, no, I am for this. Like, I am against racism. I am against, this, and I continue to like stand here with that. But then just like how you said, like, like you've never heard someone say like, oh, Black people are the superior race. I've seen a lot of people say that. I've seen people like retweeting that. I've seen people like quoting stuff like, like black women are the most beautiful woman on the planet, or like, like just stuff like that. And
it's interesting how our different circles
like get that they mean like they're just what they're trying to do is they're trying to boost, the oppressed Black woman from down here up. But then I guess what they're not seeing is that by saying stuff like that, like choose your wording better. Like, not, you can say like Black women are beautiful, for sure. Black women are beautiful. But when you're saying that, like, they're the most beautiful, like, like nobody's comparing to this, or like, then it's kind of like, well, how do you think the white women now feel? Oh, well, who cares about the white woman? We've been oppressed for all of these years, and then it's going even to like feminism and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, that's like eye for an eye, sort of.
We've been oppressed for all this long, and it's like, I get that. And so for me, and I guess this is like the man in me, I like to address both sides, as in like, hey, Black people, I understand where you're coming from over here, but this is how it's looking like to them. And then you people don't sit here and laugh like, like the mom who like when she's beating one child and the other child's like laughing. No, yours is coming too. Y'all, when y'all are doing this, it's coming off this way. Why not do this instead? And then both sides are like, oh, I didn't see it that way. And then it's like, now that's my way of like harmony, by helping both sides to understand. So that way I'm not necessarily like choosing a side, even though it's like, no, I am part of the Black group. I am part of you guys. But when you guys start acting like this, when you start going over the top and then you victimize yourselves, no, this is why white people are doing this or saying these things now. At first, it was oppression.
Well, it's interesting to me how just even being in like different cities and having different friend groups and growing up differently can give different perceptions of the issue. Because for me, a school 15 minutes away from me, a Black girl was told that she couldn't be in the cheer team because her skin was too dark last year. Like, this is real life. I mean, if somebody said that to her, they're against her. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm not trying to even be like, I guess it's just like, sometimes people are against you, and if they're against you, then you should be for yourself.
If they're against you, then you should be for yourself.
Can you know what I mean?
Process that.
Okay, I think that you're in a position, like, as a Black person, where you get to be the person to say that. But see, I would never be the person to say that to Black people, because that's not my place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, you're in a position, for that example, where you really do get to be the mediator and people will listen. And so I think that's amazing that you do that. And whenever I'm in positions like that, I try and do that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I think that's really awesome that you're doing that. And it's interesting to me, because I never even hear about that sort of behavior, but I also like, maybe that's not the majority, but maybe, I don't know. I don't even know what the majority is, but like, the perception I see, it's like, I see like actual, like, real racist people around. It's like, I want to, and like them running for office in my city, I want to speak up and say that's not okay. And so that's sort of where I'm coming from. And maybe I take that approach in other things that aren't even in regards to that. Like, maybe just like in personality, like just talking about my opinion, like, I mean, and it's interesting to think about how just our perception of how people get along in general can maybe even influence how we think about these things. But like, and I mean, I grew up with a dad who was a politician who was like, for example, Missouri had free Medicare or Medicaid that was from Obamacare. That people in Missouri just didn't want to take it because they didn't want to give poor people money. They just didn't want to. It was sitting there. They just didn't want to take it because they just didn't think they deserved it. And then I grew up watching my dad say no as an ENFJ, give the people what they deserve. And that probably really influenced me, you know, because I don't always see it as possible for people to want to go to your side or to be that accommodating.
Yeah, I think maybe the way that I seduce my secrets, the way that I seduce people to come to my side is by refining my thoughts. So when I'm refining, if I'm able to make more sense than you, not in a competitive way, but it's like if I'm still keeping it to myself, but it's like, oh, well, you know, this is my experience and this is how things make sense to me. If I'm able to get you to look at yours and then look at mine and be like, huh, then you usually like I've seen this happen, like, you know, it will join. And it doesn't happen like all the time, but it's happened plenty of times. And it's not necessarily that I go into it with an agenda, like I'm going to give the most persuasive, you know, whatever. It's more so like, no, I believe this for myself. Like I'm refining it for myself. It's like, okay, Denzel, why are you a Christian? I'm not just a Christian because my family's a Christian. No, like, you know, I had to get to know God myself. I had to do this. I looked into other religions and I did this and I did that. Then it's like, okay, this is my reasoning. So then
I did that with politics too. I didn't want to follow my dad. And then the more I looked to try and not follow, the more.
It's like, so then if somebody asks me, like, okay, like, well, Denzel, if you grew up in a Muslim family, wouldn't it be different? Which people have asked me stuff like that. It's like, you know, or why don't you believe in this and everything? It's like, okay, this is just why I don't believe in it. Because yada, yada, yada. And then as I explain it, inevitably is going to point out some contradictions in other faiths and stuff like that. That's not me directly saying like, that is wrong, get out of there. But it's me saying like, this is personally why I don't go there. And then if they're able to look at theirs, it's like, huh, Denzel's put a lot of thought into this. That seems like more stable ground. And it's like, because I'm just pursuing the truth the best that I possibly can. And then it's like, okay, so then they'll transition in the same sense. If we're not going to, you know, spiritual matters, but like political things or whatever, it's like, okay, well, this is why I believe that we should all love each other and not, you know, antagonize Black.
Yeah, I think as a 9, you are more interested in maybe helping everybody get along. And I want that too, but I'm more interested in being a magnet for people, or being a magnet to those that are fighting the same fight. I don't know, like I want to organize. But I'm not trying to, like,
with the like seemingly, not necessarily that it is, but seemingly divisiveness.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even really, I know it sounds like I'm being divisive, but it's like I'm not even trying to be divisive. Like in that, for that example, like if we were to talk like politics, like, you know, I'm for equality. So I'm going to like say what I believe and hope that the people that already agree, like I'm trying to find the people that already agree. And I understand that there might be like pros and cons to that, but we can look at the Enneagram here and see how, like, for me as a 2, it's because I want to be loved. Like, why would I go find someone that's not going to love me, you know? And so maybe there's like some fear there that can cause that. But like, and maybe there's some fear there in you not wanting to, I guess, be super like loud enough in your truth that it would hurt somebody else's feelings, because you want there to be that, you want to be cool with people, you know? It's like, I want to be cool, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's an amazing skill. And I feel like you're able to yield that in like really beneficial ways. But like, I think it's like, there's another aspect to that where like I use my FE and like wanting to find the people that are looking for, I guess, what I have to offer. And you know, I'm sorry if that sounds bad, but it's like I want to.
No, yeah.
It's like I want to find those people that already agree, so that we can all become stronger together. Not to compete against people that don't agree, but just so that we can all belong together. Just so that we can all feel good about what, like for example, like I mean, I'm bisexual, so like when I go to things like Pride, like the LGBT community, even if there are upsets, like even if like there are Supreme Court cases or like laws that aren't passed or whatever, or like the other side wins or whatever, like at least we have each other. Like I want to find my people. I want to be loved and I want to love and I want to find the people that I want to belong,
Right.
Like, and I want that more than I want this sort of, I mean, honestly, sometimes I can perceive nines as shoving things under the rug and acting like there's not an issue.
Gotcha.
And that's what I'm afraid of doing. But I'm not trying to like dismiss your.
I guess I'm still trying to parse out the difference in what you just described, because it's like
it is very similar
people too, and then you specifically said that you're not trying to look to compete. It's like, yeah, neither am I. What would you? And I wouldn't be offended if you like pointed it out for sure. But like, what would you say then? Like, is the distinction between how we're going about things?
Well, and so I'm gonna sort of speak a little unfiltered here and correct me if I'm like wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like sometimes I can perceive nines as wanting everybody to be the same and wanting to pretend like it's possible for us to really all get along, when like I want to all get along, but I'm not going to be any less of me to make you happy, because I want to be loved for who I am.
Right.
Like, and so it's like sometimes nines can seem like kind of a wet blanket, or like kind of like not really being themselves, or like kind of merging with, what they think is okay. And what I think is, if everybody is naturally sharing ideas and being who they are, then we're going to all naturally find that, that middle ground, because I mean, I believe, and it doesn't have to be, and I mean, I'm always going to be kind and respectful to different beliefs. And if I could recognize that we're different, I'm not going to want to push it. I'm not going to want to make them then come to my side, because I think that if they're interested, then they can. But, I'm never like, I mean, I made a video that was talking about like how I think that like the patriarchy and like the way we view femininity and masculinity impacts the thinking and feeling dichotomy. And sometimes people test incorrectly. And I said at the beginning of that video, I said, I'm not interested in debating whether or not there is a patriarchy. This video is sort of under the assumption that there is. I encourage you to do your own research. And I just am not interested. And see, that was me trying to not argue. But then some people viewed that as divisive. But like, I just know how strongly that I believe in feminist issues, to where I wouldn't want to engage in an unnecessary argument that isn't going to lead anywhere, because I don't really see myself not being a feminist anytime soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I want to be able to be who I am. And it's not that I'm not curious about the other ways, or about other ways of being. It's just that I think that the spice of life, like, it's so beautiful that we all have these different stances. Like, even like with understanding personality type, we all, there's different functions that we value.
Right.
And sometimes those things just naturally, I mean, I did a video too once about saying that we should learn to play bumper cars, and sometimes like FE and TE, for example, is going to be like that. But like, it doesn't have to be a fight. It could be fun, it could be a learning experience. And you can just sort of be like, oh, whoops, up, boop. Like, I'm not afraid of conflict, because I think, and also there is the idea of constructive conflict that I was recently learning about too, which is actually a term in psychology. But like, it could be a learning experience for all involved, where like, for example, like, as opposed to trying to really create peace between like maybe pro-life, pro-choice, I want to really understand my side and feel like I belong with my people. And also, when the conflict naturally arises, I'm going to learn more about myself and integrate more of their idea naturally. I think that that's a natural process of, sorry, I'm sort of rambling.
No, you're good. I think, well, so it still sounded the same, But I'll start with like your first point. Like so you said that it seems like, you know, we want everybody to be the same. And I think that yes and no, and I can't speak for every nine, of course, but I think for me, it's like I want the only way that I want everybody to be the same is in their respect for other people. So
Yeah.
right. So like if we can go with your example, then I once again the biggest thing that I ascribe to is Christianity. I made a video. My latest video was on trusting God's timing, and similar to like what you said, like, you know, about the patriarchy and all of that. I said at the beginning, like, this video is geared toward people who actually already believe in God. This doesn't mean that the people who don't believe in God can't watch. But if you're gonna comment,
Yeah.
like, you know, like, oh, you know, like, well, God isn't real and blah blah. Okay, I'm gonna ignore you because this isn't for you. This is for the people who believe in God and who follow the Bible. And
That's so funny you said something so similar because
it's like this is what it is. And so I can still once again continue to clarify and speak to my people, but at the same time, when I am talking to the people who don't believe in God or, you know, who just have like differing views, I don't have to be in any way like disrespectful while losing myself either. Like I'm not gonna then act as if like, oh, you know, like, I mean, God isn't, you know, like, I'm not gonna act like that. But I also don't want them to impose on me. So that's what I mean by like we could still live in harmony. So right now I'm thinking of like, I don't know if you ever watched like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I haven't.
Okay. Well, pretty much like the four nations, they all, you know, lived in harmony until the Fire Nation attacked, you know, like, and the Fire Nation, quote unquote, is like the nation that all of a sudden is like, oh, now our way is better, even though there's three other nations who they have their separate way of living.
It's funny that that's the fire because I wonder if that correlates with astrology or the elements at all.
It probably could.
Because I'm a fire sign. And my first thought is, well, what's wrong with thinking that your way is better? Shouldn't you? Why are you going by it if you don't think it's better? It doesn't mean that you have to get people to stop being who they are. Like, what's wrong with that? But then I also think, like, too, their thing is pride. And it's funny because Leos are also very prideful. But also there's four elements. I mean, this is dumb, I guess, but like there's four elements for a reason. Like water sets up fire, but that doesn't mean like, I mean, like water and fire both deserve to exist.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I just want everyone to feel like they can exist.
I think that's what it is with the 9, as in like not in a superior manner, but it's like it's hard to be able to say my way is better when you can see so much of everything.
Better for you.
You know, okay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean, isn't that what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, you know, it's like this is better for me, and that's why I continue to say clarify rather than coerce. I'm not gonna coerce you as in like you must follow me.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that either.
In where I'm at. So I'm gonna clarify, like, no, this is where I stand, this is what I believe, all of that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna force you here, and I'm not going to say anything bad about yours. I do believe what I believe for whatever reason, and I'm going to stick to that until proven otherwise. But that doesn't necessarily, but like when it comes to like me saying like my way is, I guess, like objectively better, I wouldn't necessarily say that because I think so much of like how subjective we are.
So do you not think that anything, I mean, I think, isn't it like natural to think that what you stand for is better? Like, why else would you stand for it? Like, I wouldn't want to stand for anything unless I thought it was better.
I think that's kind of going back to like what you said about better for me, but because I can see how,
but what's wrong with saying something's better in general? It seems like that fear of conflict that I just don't relate to. Like, for example,
okay, I think, yeah, so now we're here. So that,
yeah, because for example, like if I was to say like politically, I think this law is better for the country. I think it's better objectively. I might be wrong. And if you think that another law is better, I'm more than happy to hear you out.
And I'm not going to tell you like, oh, well, you know, I think that this is better because yada, yada, yada. And so I would tell you like, this is my idea. This is my reasoning. And we could talk about it that way. But I guess like at the end of the day, all that I can do is continue to clarify why I believe that this is probably the better reasoning. Even like, so for example, like in the last video, we talked about like how our different ways of going about harmony, which now that we know the difference in our Enneagram types, it's like, oh, that makes sense. So intrinsically, I could probably think like, hey, you know, my way is quote unquote better. But then at the same time, it's like, then again, maybe
I just don't think that I've ever imposed what I believe onto anyone, and I don't really understand that. Like, well, I don't want anyone to follow. Like, don't follow me then. You know, like I don't understand. Like, I never want anyone to just do what I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just do you, please. You know, like that's where I'm coming from. Like, but yeah, like, I mean, I'm not afraid of saying what I think is best, you know?
And I don't think
and the thing is that twos want to be helpful. We want to have the thing that is going to help you. And if I believe that what I'm saying is going to be helpful, then I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that I don't think so. There's not, in my opinion, a problem with saying what you think is better. I have a whole thread now on Twitter as my pinned tweet of like, oh, these are my thoughts and opinions on things. But I guess, yeah, the baseline that we've come to, like where we, I guess, kind of like diverge is like, yeah, I don't, I guess, believe in an objective better. So like, just like in the same.
Well, it's not objective. It's my opinion.
I'm wondering how.
It's like I'm saying I think this thing is better for everybody. It's the same at saying I think something is better for everybody. It's still sort of imposing to everybody, but it's still my opinion. It still might be wrong.
Right.
Like, but like it seems almost like, I mean, I keep going back to politics because I think that that's a good example of saying like, I think this law is going to be best for the country. I'm not saying I think this law is best for me. I'm saying I think this law is best for the country. Believe me or don't believe me. You know, I do want to fight for change. And I do want to fight for what I believe in. And I'm not afraid of conflict in that same way. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't understand, like, I mean, of course these things are subjective. Because I'm judging that based on my value system and what I think. But I'm allowed to voice like what I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
I sort of expect everybody to do that. And another thing that I would think is interesting is I'd be curious if you've ever looked into Dave's superpowers, like masculine and feminine energies. Because I think another thing that's going on here for anyone that's watching is I think I'm masculine FE and I think you might be feminine FE.
Oh, yeah, I guess we could put it that way.
Because it's masculine FE is very shovey. Masculine FE is shovey about what it values or what it thinks the tribe should value, and more uncertain about its opinions. I don't care. I change my mind all the time. Or maybe you are nice about everything, but you know that you believe in God. You know what I mean? Like there's the masculine TI. Like I don't have that.
I didn't know that because when I heard about that, that was what I struggled with. I was like, I didn't know that you change your mind all the time. So
yeah,
so I was thinking like, what exactly would masculine TI look like? Is that because like it seems like if you're quote unquote shovey with what you're imposing, then that means that you should be consistent with what you're imposing, right? Or is it like I know it's not this dramatic.
I'm shovey about what I find to be valuable, but then I learn more every day through having those discussions.
Okay.
Truth is always evolving.
Got you. Yeah. Then yeah, I'd agree with that because yeah, like for me, it's like, yeah, like I said it earlier in the video, like I'm just continuing to refine why I believe what I believe, so that way if somebody like my goal at the end of the day is nobody can call me stupid for believing what I believe. Now, you don't have to follow what I believe, and I'm not just talking about spirituality, but even like with typing, you know, like if you I'm not saying that like, oh, I definitely know that I'm right about this character's personality type or whatever. But if I'm to like write out the reason or an essay as to why this person is that type, you can best believe that Denzel is going to make a logically consistent reasoning as to why.
Yeah, I'm not married to my opinions.
Got you.
Like, I might say I think this, and then I guess I expect the other person to just either disagree or agree. I mean, and then I'm always going to take what they say into consideration. Like, I do that like to a fault. Like, I'm always like, if someone disagrees with me, then everything I think pretty much can just be thrown out the window instantly. So it's very disorienting. Because I know there's only one truth or whatever. Well, I don't know that, I guess. but it's like if I want there to be one truth or something, then like I'm gonna be always like taking these pieces from everybody, trying to take like a grain of salt. But then like whenever I'm like, it's like I'm more, like this is what I think, guys, is the value. And then like, I mean, I don't know, like it's just a different way of being. Like, not one is better than the other or anything like that. But more than anything, I believe that people deserve to exist. And I want to be able to exist. And I don't want there to be conflict. And so, but I'm also not going to force people to agree with me.
Right. Okay.
I'm trying to find my people so that I can exist and feel like I belong. Because I think everybody deserves to belong somewhere. Everybody needs their little group of people to really understand them and love them.
Right.
And it can't be everyone. You can't get that from everybody. And I think
no, definitely not. And I think
as a two, I like have that strong desire where I want to be surrounded by that love. And I want everyone to be able to find that wherever they find it. It doesn't have to be from me. It doesn't have to be from my methods. It doesn't, I mean, because people are different for a reason. Like, that's why there are so many, like, that's why there's the different personality types and all these different things. Like, people are going to find their, like, love and support from one person, maybe not me, you know, like, I just, and I don't want to engage in conflict because maybe this is even a two thing of like assuming that people are wanting like the sort of intimacy that I'm looking for. I guess I'm just like, why would you waste your time talking to me when you could be, you know, with people that are gonna like love you better than I could, you know?
Yeah. What's coming to mind is, so going back to the Avatar example, it's like I want to be surrounded by those who are like-minded with me and everything as well too. But I'm just not going to go over to one of the other nations and then not expect them, and like there's just always still going to be respect. So that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like we're going like this as in like, because I'm relating to
very similar.
They're very what? Yeah,
I mean, it's very similar.
Yeah.
I don't think we're really that different at the end of the day.
As well. Like I want us all, so like just going back to like one of your points, like when I say the same, I don't necessarily mean, I don't want everybody to have the same exact mindset. I understand that there's going to be different beliefs, but my whole thing is like, well, let's make sure that we respect other people's beliefs, which I'm not saying that you're not. I'm just like, I feel like it's more like
okay, but respecting and tolerating is different.
Respecting and tolerating. Okay.
I'm always going to respect.
Right.
I'm always going to respect, but that doesn't mean I have to tolerate. Doesn't mean it needs to be in my space.
That isn't okay. So if somebody has a differing view from you or a different perspective, then you're saying that you wouldn't want, not in a mean way, but you wouldn't want that person to be there, because then in that sense, like for me,
no, it's not that. It's not that. I mean, I'm talking in general and how I respond to conflict. Like, if I am intrinsically fighting for this and somebody else is intrinsically fighting for this, then I don't like. I want to stay in my lane. I want to fight for what I'm fighting for.
Yeah.
and like be respectful. Like I feel like I'm kind of confused where we're going here, because I think the thing is that the descriptions of a type 2 and a type 9 are very similar. Because they are, I think if we were to look at this behaviorally, I think it is very similar, but I think the fear is different.
Yeah.
And so that's where it could be different. But also, if you have a set of values that I don't share, then we're going to act different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I guess that's the case, because and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm understanding correctly, it's like, so when you talk about like the tolerating, I don't necessarily feel like I'm tolerating.
Like, for example, I don't tolerate racism. Like if somebody is racist, I'm not their friend. That's like an example.
Okay.
If somebody voted for Trump, they're not my friend.
Got you.
Period.
Okay.
I can understand, and I'm curious. I will watch things online, or I'll like look at comments to try and understand why they think that way. In fact, I compulsively have to. I can't not know why they think that way. But if I find something toxic, that doesn't mean I don't know if this is a sexual dom versus social. I don't have that much of a desire to merge with everyone. Like, I'm not going to move who I am to sort of. Sometimes, okay, like I don't want to water myself down. And I'm not saying that 9s are watering themselves down, but that's my fear. I don't want to, because 2s want to be someone's special friend. And I can't be someone's special friend. I can't be someone's everything if I act like everybody else.
Yeah. I think, well, one thing I also wanted to clarify, when it talks about like merging with the group, I think that like a group is still set apart from everyone. So
so wait, so how do you choose which group?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, by that extent, I'm also trying to merge with.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So that's why I was saying, like, when I brought up the whole Jesus and his disciples, the disciples are 12 people, but that's still a group. And then if Jesus was a social sexual, which honestly, I believe that he had an MBTI type, but not an Enneagram type, because I don't think that Jesus had a coping mechanism. Like he had a personality, but he didn't have a coping mechanism. So even though a lot of people are saying like, oh, Jesus was a 9, oh, Denzel, I'm a 9, I'm like Jesus. No, not really. I mean, I'm aiming to be like him, but I believe that he didn't have a coping mechanism, so we can't attribute Enneagram. But once again, that's just my opinion. But if Jesus was a social sexual, I believe that he found his group, which was his disciples, his 12 disciples. Then he found his favorites, or those that he got deeper bonds.
Yeah, I would be more inclined to find the favorites and then build a group out of that.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking, but then at the same time, that still doesn't necessarily mean that he was like merged with everyone. So I'm thinking how, like, even as a social, I want to be at peace with everyone, as in like I don't want to give people reason, like legitimate reason to have antagonistic.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I don't want that at all.
Right. But at the same time, I'm not trying to merge with everybody. I'm trying to merge with my group, which as a social, my group may be, we're just going backwards. I have to find a group of people first, not everybody, but a group of people first that I already vibe with. And then from that selection of 12, in this case, I will then find those who I vibe with even deeper from that. While with you, like you and I think Emily said it too, which by the way, guys,
we have not even
been going great, but thanks for commenting and everything. I'm gonna read through all of them. But I think Emily, like she like reads, she finds her people first, like she'll find her people first, like you do, and then she'll be like, okay, well, this is the group that I'm building from that.
Well, here's an example, I guess, is so when I want to respect everybody, but I don't want to tolerate everybody. And maybe, I mean, I've heard sexual dominants are like pickier in a way. And I am very picky about who I let into my inner circle. Like, I'm very open on one hand, but who I tell my day-to-day life, I'm very, very, very picky. And like for, what was I saying? Okay. So I remember this was a thought experiment I was talking about with my friend. It's like, what if you are having a great conversation with somebody and that, or like a new friend, and then you notice they have like a Confederate flag sticker or something? What would you do? And my friend Crystal, who's an ENFP, shout out, she said she would ask them why they believe that, blah, 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 and try and have a merging discussion or whatever. I personally, there are so many great people in the world. I don't want to waste my time on that. I know that's really rude. Maybe it's rude, maybe it's picky. I don't know. But like, there are certain things about people that I just know that I don't vibe with. And why would I waste my time there? I think it's more respectful to just leave them alone. Like, yeah. And there are certain things about people that I think that there would be more conflict if we continue to try and merge.
And I think, okay, so then one of the things, so going back to the Donald Trump example and everything, I actually do have like, you know, people that I know that may have voted for him, you know, stuff like that. And then like, you know, either or, and I don't mind continuing to interact with them. It's when they might, I think it's the mutual understanding, not necessarily like shrinking yourself, but I guess the mutual understanding.
Shrinking, that makes sense actually for me too.
Yeah, like if you have this like impetus to repeatedly talk a lot about how great Donald Trump is and everything, yeah, then probably stay over there, you know? But if it's like I voted for him or whatever, but I'm not really like that bent on, you know, talking so much about him.
Here's the thing, I don't need the peace. I don't need the peace. I want to be loved for who I am. And if they believe that, they probably aren't gonna, because who I am is different than that. And so why would to me, that sounds like abandonment. Why would I want to be close to someone that is going to hurt me and going to abandon me?
Wow. Okay. Quick side.
Or disappoint me.
I thought this was pretty cool. So like I said, at the end of the book, they're comparing the 2s and 9s. I'm just going to briefly read through the highlighted section. 2s and 9s are two types that share a lot of traits in common. They both tend to focus on others, and so they often forget or neglect their own needs and wants in favor of allowing others' needs and desires to be in the foreground. Both styles over-adjust to others, 9s blending with others' agendas to create harmony and reduce tension and separation. 2s and 9s can both make good mediators because they easily see and understand others' perspectives and opinions. In fact, they can both usually see others' points of views more clearly than their own. People of both types have little or no contact with their anger, uncomfortable with anger, and oriented to maintaining positive connections with others. Both 2s and 9s regularly avoid conflict, though again, some 2s can be more open to conflict at times when their more emotional nature drives them there.
Yes.
Both 2s and 9s can engage in passive-aggressive behavior, as it may be hard for them to assert themselves and express anger in more direct ways out of a fear that they will break important connections with other people. And then the last thing is 9s are more democratic and do not make purposeful efforts to pursue connections with particular people in the ways that 2s typically do. 2s tend to have a more active, higher energy level and a faster pace than 9s, who usually appear more relaxed and easygoing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, okay, so I'm realizing something about myself right now, is that I think that, okay, so sexual 2s want intimacy and all that, and I think that part of that, and I mean, they could be pickier, they want to be your special friend, they want to be all that. I think that, you know, it's a coping mechanism, and I think that if I'm picky about people, or if I don't want to tolerate certain behavior, it's because I don't want to be hurt. And that really is it. And I kind of just said that earlier, but it's really sinking into me that, like, the reason why I only let certain people in, and the reason why I will, you know, sometimes I try and say things to try and test people to see if there's someone that I can become close with. Sometimes conflict could be good for that. to know who am I going to open myself up to. I'm very sensitive.
Gotcha.
I don't, that peace that you crave, I don't, that means nothing to me. That means absolutely nothing to me. I want that, like, I want to like have someone know my soul and love it. And I want to know theirs.
And maybe that's I guess, because it's like I want that too, but maybe kind of like what it was.
Are
So
you a two fix?
one of the things that am I what?
Are you like a two fix? Do you have a 2 in your tri type?
So I tested as that, but I don't really believe I don't really know what my tri type is, honestly. I got 9 to 7, I think, but I don't know. But I think what's going on over here is that, so one of the things that it did say is that 9s who tend to be more emotionally steady, and like, so 2s tend to feel a wider range of stronger emotions more frequently than 9s who tend to be more emotionally steady and even. So when you're talking about like getting to know each other's soul and everything, I think that I don't think I know. In fact, on my channel, that's like the thing that I most talk about. Like I want to merge. I want
to. And I also think all ENFJs can probably relate to that to some extent. You know.
But I think that maybe like my soul is not as
needy.
Yeah. 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 Like,
I just thought of a metaphor actually is it's almost like it feels like I'm like gathering berries, like a caveman, like trying to like pick like what feels ripe. Like that's how it feels. Because why would I pick something that's not ripe? What if it's poisonous? That's the sort of discernment that that's the vibe I'm literally like I'm vetting people like, are you gonna hurt me? Like literally, are you going to hurt me?
And I think for me, the only way that somebody, well, not the only way potentially, but like the main ways that I could think of somebody like hurting me is if they misconstrue my intention, and if they like attack what I believe and like call me like stupid for it or something, like make it seem like, Denzel, how could you believe something like that? That's so dumb. And they're not open to like understanding it as how I'd respect them in that way. But them believing something else or whatever, that won't necessarily bother me.
It bothers me because it makes me feel like, what if I'm not enough? What if I'm wrong? Like I want to be loved. I want to be embraced. I'm not embraced. And I know I like 2s are not, it's not like we're just super helpful. Like I get that there's like really disgusting behavior here. Like I'm like sweating because like I hate the idea of 2s. Like every time I hear about it, I'm like, I don't want to be a 2. You know what I mean? Like it's pathetic.
Oh man, nah, don't say that. I don't think that it's pathetic. Like,
I mean, I just like irrationally feel like everyone hates me like all the time, and I'm always working to be not hated, like, and find my people. You know, like it's like I'm very like wary if someone's gonna hurt me, and I'm very sensitive.
how would you say, if you don't mind me asking, like, what are the ways that somebody could hurt you?
That's the thing. 2s are so sensitive, and okay, correct me if I'm wrong if you're like super into Enneagram, but this is my impression I'm having, that if I'm not finding intimacy, love, then what is the point? What is the point of this interaction? If I'm not knowing your soul, if you're not knowing mine, if we're not helping each other become better people with true like mutual respect, then what is the point?
Well,
because I just feel like an alien, or I just feel like it's very easy. I would say probably for a 2, it's easier to feel triggered into feeling like unlovable. Like if I'm not helping and loving, if I'm not useful, or if I'm not helpful to this person, then I like am deeply flawed. If I'm not being of service and loving and helping you because you don't want my help, that feels terrible. That's like rejection. And it seems like you want to be at peace with you know, that sort of web where that peace is not enough for me. Like if that person doesn't want my help, then why would I waste my time? It feels like rejection, and it feels like I'm not enough. And it feels like sometimes I need to go back to the drawing board with who I am, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That, I think honestly speaking, that's explained more about you than anything else that I've watched on your channel or seen you tweet or anything, because
Mhm.
from that perspective, it's like, okay, that makes sense a lot, because I I relate to that, and it's like I definitely want people to, like, know my soul, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Well, my people
I,
too.
like, really do.
Yeah, and I do
Like,
too, but I think
yeah.
my
And I
my
think peace would be cool.
yeah, I think it's because the the differences don't turn me off in a way. So it's ironic, because you said that you think that nines want everybody to be the same, but if I'm understanding you correctly, you
Mm.
want to find
Interesting.
people who have the same views and desires and everything as you do. So you want to be surrounded by the people who are like the same. While with me, I don't mind having like
Mm.
the differing perspectives, because it's like, oh, this is cool because I can just learn from these people, but we can
Ah.
still that's our way of exploring each other's souls. Like, oh, you believe in past lives and stuff like that? Like, tell me more about that, And it's like,
Well,
and
it's not that I don't accept and love other, like, differences, it's that I don't want them to not accept me. It's like, then the fear comes up, of not being enough.
okay.
So it's more like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I've had lots of friends that have been just very different from me, but, like, that is just something that I would say that probably other twos would look for, which is before you even begin to open up to someone to try and see, can they even handle me? Do they even want to love me? Because that would be terrible if they didn't, you know?
Yeah.
It's sort of vetting people, sort of testing to see if they can handle me, you know?
Hmm.
Because do you even want to handle me? Do you even want to know the real me? It's like obnoxious, you know? Like, I know I am, but like, um, it's, and then I think like the eight, the disintegrating to eight is like, if people are being like mean to me, then I just go away. And then the four is like, I'm going to try and sort of be special to get people to know to love me. They're both different tools to say go away, or like a little magnet of, hey, I'm special. But they both help um, me feel, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know about like you, if you would relate to this, if this is an ENFJ thing, but like going like through school and stuff, like just like I would cry about something like two of my friends hung out without me and didn't think to invite me. I would like cry and be like, I'm not enough for them. They must hate me. And then like feel like they hate me. And then they would be their job to like then deal with whatever my emotions were about it. Or I would be like, you don't even want to hang out with me anymore. That was, yeah.
And I think for me, it's like it goes back to the narcotizing thing. I do that so much. Like when I found out what that word was, Jamila would not let me hear the end of it.
I don't even know what that word is.
It's pretty much going to sleep. Like as soon as any feelings or desires rise up in me that may, I guess, cause conflict with somebody else, chokehold.
Oh. See, I want to be like, that's a great way to see if this person is gonna love me, is if they would, how they can handle that piece of me.
Interesting. Yeah. And for me, it's like I that was one of the things about the two that I was always like, And then in one of my profiling sessions, when I was asked, like, do you ever feel like you're not loved? I was like, okay, honestly, I don't ever recall feeling like, oh, I'm not loved. Which, yeah, I never felt that way. I just felt like I know that these people love me, but they don't love me the way that I want them to, or like they don't they don't appreciate me or, you know, respect me the way that I'd like for them to.
I wish that I had a friend like
then
you.
I'm like, no, but you know, it doesn't really matter. I don't really matter, I guess, that much. I don't know, you know, not to get like depressing, but I start thinking stuff like that. It's like, oh, but you know, whatever, you know, well, oh dang, they didn't invite me. Huh. Well, okay. I mean, I
Oh
guess.
my God, that would ruin my life. That ruins
And so it's like we both have that, like this. So like for you, if you just said like if those people like went out and did something and they didn't invite you, then you'd like cry about it and everything. And I especially knowing that you're two, it's like now I understand that, because now you're saying like, dang, like am I enough for them? Like, you know, like do they even love me and all of that? For me, it's more like.
But it also is sort of this thing of like, look, but I did all of this to you. How dare you not realize that I'm a good friend?
Yeah.
There was actually an instance where like 3 of my good friends from high school went on a spring break trip without me.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent them all a text. I'm not proud of this. I sent them a group text while they were there.
Wow.
Saying, I'm really upset that I'm finding out that you guys are all there without me. And I didn't even get an invite. And I was like, I'm seeing this from Facebook. I thought we were close. Like, if I have ever done anything to hurt you, please tell me, because I will do anything to repay you.
Wow.
That's the desperation.
Yeah,
that's how sensitive.
I get it now. I get it. Yeah, I would respond super differently. Like, I mean, that happens. I've said it in like the type of person that I am. Literally, narcotization, whatever the word is. I'm just like, I'm literally just like, I could not ever see myself texting people saying like, you know, I can't ever see myself doing that. Instead, they'd like see me and I'd still act like cool, everything. But I'm more to like numb myself out of that. Like, dang, like, well, Denzel, I guess you just weren't like good enough for them. But I mean, I can't like it. They can't help the fact that they don't like me as much as I would have liked them to like me.
I want the opportunity to fix it. I want to show them that I am a good friend. Or if they aren't my friend, I want them out of my life now so that I stop doing things for them and wasting my time. Because 2s, it's like I need to be validated for the love I'm giving. Or like with most of my friends, I do more for them than they do for me. And that's just how it is. And I don't honestly expect anything else because I have a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to continue. So I'm not actually looking for people to give to me the same amount that I'm giving to them, because it's almost a power thing, and it's disgusting. Mm-hmm. I want to give more so that I know that you're never going to leave me, because why would you?
Mm.
And that was, like a huge thing in a lot of my relationships. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to break out of that. And I mean, I'm dating a 9 now, actually. She's a sexual 9 though. And an INFJ. And so like, huh?
I said they're awesome. Shout out to you, Marianne.
Yeah, shout out. But so it's a little different, I guess, maybe as a sexual 9. But I mean, gosh, where was I going with that? Like, God, what was I just saying? Like,
you were just talking about pretty much
before I mentioned her. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's that power thing, wanting to give more.
Mm.
And then this is how I've been screwed over by people, because sometimes they see that and they're like, oh, this girl's so desperate that she's going to give more. We're going to latch onto that. And so that's what I'm on the lookout for now, because people see 2s and they see how overeager they are and they want to use that.
Got you. Yeah.
And so I am afraid of that happening to me again. But but that's how the 2 wields their power, is by giving just a little bit more than what you're giving. And so whenever I send a text that's confrontational, the piece is unimportant to me. What's important to me is giving and loving with nothing in return. And I would so much rather figure out what's going on and put it all on the table than numb it. I never want to numb anything.
Do you see the irony in how we switched? Because now it's because then I'm inclined to say that, well, sending that text, why would you put forth that energy to them? This
I'm always putting forth that
tell me like, oh, but you're trying to like, mend with all these people and all that. But then in that situation, I would just simply realize like, dang, they don't like me the way that I thought that they did or whatever. Or like, oh, I see where I stand with them now. Okay, I guess it's time to either like just step back, and then I'll just find my like another group of people instead. I don't have anything against these people because I'm inclined to think like you always say, like, I can't force them to like me.
Well, when it gets to that point, my ego is so bruised that I need to be told what I did wrong so that I don't repeat the same mistake. When it gets to that point of desperation.
That doesn't mean that because I wouldn't see it as like I did anything wrong.
That's the thing. I think I'm wrong. That's the thing. Twos think that we're unlovable.
Yeah. See, that's so funny because we've really switched. Because then in my head, it's like, and I think maybe that's also why, in your perspective, like when I'm talking about like, just being cool with everyone, correct me if I'm wrong, but because twos work so hard to like for the people they love and everything, then it's like you're thinking of the energy that you use for the people that you love now for everybody. While with me, it's like, no, I'm not. I don't, even for the people that I'm with, I don't like work super, super, super hard for them to love me. Yeah. I feel like they do love me by just me being myself. And
I don't have that luxury of thinking that me just being myself is enough.
Wow.
That's why I'm so extra.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I mean, that's it, like, yeah.
That's well, this has been very, very, very enlightening. Like extremely.
I mean, I'm hating myself literally right now.
Oh like, no, don't.
Literally. I feel like I hate this. Like not like this conversation. This has been a great conversation, but like, I'm just like, and I think another reason why would I try and mend with everyone is because I think that's so impossible because nobody's going to like me. Dang. Because I've tried. Nobody likes me. Like that's the inner voice, And so I would so much rather find the people that like me because it's so heartbreaking because of course they're going to hate me, Because
once again, correct me if I'm wrong, you've worked so hard for people to like you that now it's kind of like you've gone like, well, F everyone, if you don't like me, then forget it. Like, I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Yes.
I just want the people. Okay.
Yeah. And actually those of you who know me from Twitter, that's been an experiment where I used to be on Twitter and have everyone from high school and college follow me. And I sort of was like, you know what? None of these people like me. I'm deleting that Twitter. I'm gonna integrate to 4. Like I really did think it was almost like an integrate to 4 because I never would have had the confidence to be like, hey, I'm this weirdo that likes Myers-Briggs stuff. Like it took me a while to even like tell people in my life about that because what if they think that's weird? Like even like my personal Instagram right now has such a different vibe because so many people follow me where I almost want to delete it and start over because I can't even bear the idea of just even one random ass person from college that I don't even talk to having one bad opinion about something that I'm into now. Like it's ridiculous.
Wow.
And so that's why I started the new Twitter account because I wanted to completely start fresh and see if I can have the confidence to be myself. I wasn't trying to merge, I was trying to see what it would be like if maybe I can find the people that will love the weirdness about me.
Which is still merging.
Yeah.
But you want to merge with the people who yeah, like you just said, like,
who aren't going to take advantage of the fact that I'm naturally so extra. Because most people.
I think that, like, maybe with me, not that I'm like shallow or anything, but I have less things that might turn off other people for like, or that can feel, and so that's why it's like quote unquote easier to merge with them because I don't have to like, like. I've
heard that sexual twos, maybe all sexual types are sort of like you either love me or hate me sort of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's accurate, but I mean, maybe. But sorry, what were you saying?
Oh yeah, no, I was just like parsing that difference, but I think
I know what I was gonna say is that I feel like what okay, god damn it. God damn it. The majority of people, even if they are just baseline level of morality, if they know somebody that is going to just do the work and volunteer and overeager and love you with nothing in return, they're going to take advantage of that, whether they mean to or not. And so I've had a lot of experiences in my life where that has happened. Malicious people, very malicious people, like leeching off of me. And I didn't notice. I had to have people outside of me tell me, why are you doing this? This person's an asshole. They're completely using you. I've had to have people say that. I'm at the point now where I'm trying to spot it and I'm trying to protect myself.
Got you.
And I'm trying to regain my confidence that I have lost from like verbal abuse and gaslighting and manipulation from people in the past when I've been wrong and I've let in. And because I never expect anything in return. Like I had an ex-boyfriend who I found out, like I started dating him and then I found out that he for like 6 months that he wasn't actually going to school. I thought that he went to my school. He was lying, saying he was going to class. Then he got evicted. I helped him with money. He didn't have a car, and I let him use my car. He like ruined a part of my car, and I was like, that's fine. He got drunk and punched a wall. That's fine. I'll pay for it. I had to have my friends be like, shouldn't be doing that. I would like be so worried for him, and he told me, I'm going to kill myself if you break up with me. And I was like, okay, I can't break up with them. Like, I would like see him drunk, like in the side of the road and pick him up. And like, I mean, like, I felt like that was my responsibility because that's what love is. Right. Like, and so, I mean, yeah, like I'm very bad at spotting people manipulating me and I'm trying to get better at it, but I'm not perfect at it. But I'm also just very sensitive. So,
Well,
God, I know that's like really heavy, and I'm not asking for pity.
No, that's fine. I think it's just real. Like it's really, we don't praise vulnerability enough. In fact, like when people are vulnerable, and this was actually on the most recent podcast from Personality Hacker. But I've also been saying it like a lot. Like I have my nuanced nudity video where it's like, the same naked body could not to like, be like weird, but like the same naked body could turn on several people and then disgust several other people.
Yeah.
And metaphorically speaking, like it's like, no,
you're so sexual too. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like you're putting yourself out there. And I think that in that metaphorical sense, people should actually, once again, metaphorically, should be like aroused by that, as in like, this is vulnerability being displayed, and instead of like bashing it, we should encourage it, we should empathize with it, and we should use this to be able to better understand. So like, no, like I don't mind that it's heavy. I'd rather that than shallow, you know what I mean? And I really respect you for coming out and like saying all of this, because I understand you like way deeper than I have before.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, seriously, this is extremely eye-opening, and I'm gonna be like rewatching the stream and like editing little clips to put on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Well, actually, I have to pee. So I might go do that and then maybe wrap up quickly. But I guess one thing I just sort of checked out the chat, and Jess Britvec asked me, how do you react when others give to you? I don't know how to accept it. I deflect. No, I got it. Even when I'm like, I need it. Like, because the desire to be helpful is greater than whatever they are giving me. And that's something I'm like really working on. Like, it's bad. Like, I will pretend like I have it all together when I don't. Like, and even me doing this, it's like, I'm afraid that you or people in the comments are going to then give me pity or feel like you have to help me, because I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that and then have you think, oh, now I have to. I mean, I don't ever want to obligate anyone or be a burden.
Right.
So that's, I think twos are very vulnerable, but the things that we might have a hard time with is really showing how needy we are, or showing things that have happened that have hurt us, because we don't want to then accept the help from people, because that's a vulnerable spot to be in. But yeah, so think on that. And I don't know, you could sort of rant or wrap up or say whatever while I go to the bathroom. And then if there are any last like questions, maybe people can chat. Like,
yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Well, I think what I'm gonna do is just like breeze through the chat real quick, and then before we like wrap up, all of you, first of all, thanks for showing up. Like all 10 of you now, but that's still awesome. And this has been like a very great conversation. I like to troll people. It's an easier way to learn about someone by doing this. Well, at least for me. I do this to my new classmates, and I think I got door slammed by an INFJ. Wow, Mert. Personalities you think most girls wear. Interesting. Really cry, see stuff, emotions. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to like rewatch this sometime. Y'all are so funny. I'm a sexual being. Being pro-black doesn't make you anti-white, though. Yeah, I agree with that. But I wish that a lot of people actually made that more clear in their actions. Like, I don't think that everybody who's pro-black is anti-white, but I do believe that there are a lot of pro-black people who are anti-white, and I don't personally stand for that. Like, I don't like that. We're here to be equals, not one better than the other. Denzel, I think do what you do too. I like to bring people to the middle ground where it's safe to discuss. Yeah. Hey.
Hi.
Well, anyway, I think that we could possibly like wrap this up. But
cool. I just thought of one thing.
Yeah.
And then I realized. Oh gosh, did I forget it again? Why do I do this? I think. I was looking at the comments and I was seeing a couple of you INFJ9 saying you would still be friends with someone even if, I can't remember what that was in reference to, but I think sometimes the friendliest thing and the most loving thing that you can do, or that I could do to someone, is to leave them alone. Because if they aren't going to completely love me or something, then I'm going to lash out and act like an 8. And I don't want that. I don't want that, you know? It's like, I really do want everybody, no matter how similar we are, to have the most loving, like wonderful life. Like, I want them to do whatever they want. I want them to have freedom and all that. But like, I guess, and I don't know if there could be a connection between like Enneagram and like what you think love is or whatever, but like for me, like I just have really high standards for like what love looks like to me and like what sort of relationships I want to engage in and put the energy into, that like I would not want to be like giving so much and then you not giving it back because you weren't interested in that intensity of a relationship, and then it just leaving me disappointed and then like hurting you. Like, I just would so much rather just let it be. I don't know.
No, that makes sense. I get it.
Yeah.
I get that. I really, really appreciate you being on today. and
Thank you.
not being shallow, but like burying yourself. And
I'm nothing. It's fine. Like, it's not a big deal.
yeah, and for those who are watching post live stream and all of that, be sure to leave questions, comments, whatever. Follow Megan on
Yeah.
Happy Sad Lion.
Yeah, I think I might even retire that and make it Meghan LeVota again. I've been wondering because whenever I made that account, I still had at Meghan LeVota where I was trying to be like, this is my opinion on journalism or something like. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For sure. We'll definitely follow her. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. She has a lot of video content on there that you'd find very interesting, beneficial, helpful. And once again, Megan, I just want to say like thanks again for taking the time out of your night to like you just got back from work and everything. So thanks for this interview video and for just bearing yourself and all of that. This has been really
I'm glad. It's been really interesting, and thank you so much for having me. And if you're watching this because I just shared it to my channel, which I'm about to, subscribe to Denzel if this is the first video you're seeing of it.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thanks everyone for watching. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the live chat, see what you all have been saying, because this has been we've been just like
yeah, for sure.
You know?
It's been very. I channeled my SX, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
All right. Have a good day. All right. Bye.